Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, and we'll pull up the screen here. Yep, we got ourselves a corner. He's from BYU. We're going to talk about his commitment. Also, the Gators have gone off the deep end. You're not going to believe what their idea is to fix the problem with Rashada. This is crazy. We'll get into that in the end, but we're going to talk about this commitment first. And we've picked up another BYU transfer, and this guy is a veteran cornerback, and he is a starter for BYU, and he wanted to come back to the SEC. And again, he is a veteran cornerback, so he's been playing for years, which is really nice. We need that. And he committed this morning, and it is our biggest need. We really have a need at cornerback. And he's 6'2", 185. He's got 2 remaining seasons of eligibility, so not just one. And he started the final 10 games with BYU this year, and he's had 23 career starts. And he also played at Vanderbilt. And last year he had 46 tackles, 7 pass breakups. So he did well. And one of the things that brought him to us is that we went 11-2 last year. And that's what we've been talking about, how important it is to win. When you're winning, it's a lot easier to recruit. Ask Alabama, ask Georgia. When you win 11 games, you're going to get recruits.
I'm sorry, winning. You starting to get the concept now? Oops. Winning.
Here it talks about the Vols struggled. They finished 127th out of 131 in the secondary as far as giving up passing, 289 yards a game. So, we were kind of awful in that category. So I think this is a real nice pickup. Now, why we're going to BYU for all these players, BYU must be ticked because, look, these were 2 of their best defensive players, and we got both of them. We got their linebacker, Peely, and also now their cornerback. So that's a little bit rough. Now, I also need to tell you, as you know, Jackson transferring out, we have a need at quarterback. And unfortunately, BYU doesn't have a player that we're really that interested in, except there is one player that has 1 year of eligibility left that has gotten a special exemption from the NCAA that I wasn't aware of. So this guy right here can still play. That's right. And not only that, this guy's got the moves. He can sing, he can dance, and he's got a great arm. So if we could get just 1 year out of him, he'd be a great third-string guy for us. And like I said, he's got that special exemption. So we might as well just go full BYU. We'll have the middle linebacker, the cornerback, and a backup quarterback. And this guy's got a ton of experience. He's won a Super Bowl. He's done the shuffle. He's done it all. He's very well-known, and I think he'll get an NIL deal, no problem at all. So it's definitely looking up for the Vols. One other thing I want to talk about. Our 2 basketball players that were out, Vescovi and Key, it looks like they were back at practice today. Key was ill, and he's starting to feel better. And then Vescovi's just kind of inching his way back into practice. And he'll probably play Saturday, I would think. He's got that shoulder issue, so we'll see how that goes. But, those are 2 of our starters, our number 1 scorer and our 5th leading scorer. So we need to get them back in the game. We need more ball handlers because Ziegler can't do it all. So that's a little update in basketball. But now let's get into the Florida Gators because they've lost their gourd. When I tell you what their plan is, and this is just pure panic is all it is. With Rashada wanting his national letter of intent revoked so he can go out and find another team that'll actually pay him. The plan they've come up with it's a little bit crazy, but it's just crazy enough to work, but I don't think it's a good idea at all. And by the way, I went behind the scenes and I did manage to get a hold of the actual contract for the $13 million. And now look, there was a lot of danger. I had to go into the collective. I did it late at night. Fortunately, they didn't discover it, and I have the contract, and I'm going to show it to you. And here it actually is, and I know it's official because it's got the official Gator logo on it. But, they owe $13 million. It's right there in ink. So, they're going to have to come up with some sort of plan to get out of this contract because it sure looks official to me. And I don't know why they use toilet paper to write their contracts. There must be some reason for that, but it looks like they do owe the money. So it's a problem. But here's what their plan is to deal with this issue. And they're not only talking about it in Swamp 247, but I'm going to show you a YouTuber that's discussing it as well. It says the final option the team must at least consider convinced highly touted 2024 quarterback commit DJ Lagway to reclassify and join the team this summer. He's a junior in high school. This kid's a junior in high school. I don't even know if he's got his driver's license, okay? But they want him to come in early because they wouldn't pay that kid money. Are they going to pay DJ? So anyway, he is a big-time prospect. He's a high 4-star or a 5-star, depending on where you look. He's drawn comparisons to Hendon Hooker. Of course, Hendon Hooker is 25 years old. He said if his academic progress allows it, he's got to make up an extra year somehow. Said it's a Hail Mary, but if it worked, it could position Florida quite well for its future. So let me see if I got this straight. You're going to put this little teenager in there who's, 16, 17 years old, bring him in a year early. He's not going to get to play a senior year of high school. He's not going to get all that experience and to grow and actually mature and throw him into the SEC. I think that's a brilliant plan. What they probably ought to do is just this. That's right. Just panic. Just run around in a circle. Now I'm going to show you a YouTuber, and this guy's a good YouTuber. He covers the Gators. And the nice thing about it, even though he's a big homer and loves his Gators, and I can appreciate that. I do the same thing with the Vols. He can be quite realistic, and he uses common sense, which is, kind of hard to do for a Gator, but this guy does have some common sense, and he puts out good content. Whenever I want to check on the Gators, I usually go to his channel. But here's his opinion on this, and they discussed it.
The collective reneged on that deal was what was stated in the article, and then that's been the battle ever since, and nobody's followed through with it, and here we are, right? Now we've got no more Jaden Rashada. If you go look at Gator news and closer to Gators, a lot of them are saying, I don't feel that it was $13 million. I think that's false, et cetera, et cetera. And that may be true. Unfortunately, the bigger picture, all the big industries are spreading one narrative. And now that perception of whatever it may be will soon become a reality because you've got everybody talking about it and spreading the same exact story, whether it's true or not, whether it's 1.3 and they got rid of the point because it makes the story that more appealing to get more clicks. Unfortunately, that's where we've landed ourselves. And then obviously the video of Chris Dorian went viral of him saying, I'm glad he didn't take the $13 million. I'm glad that we're not paying him, right, etc., because Tebow deserved $13 million. The guys that earned it, right? And I completely agree with his statement. I completely agree with what Chris Dorian's saying. Here's the issue. That's not the world we live in anymore. Unfortunately, and this is why we were all concerned about, we live in a world now where this is what it appears to be, is that you're having to be paid to play. I'm not saying that I agree with paying Jaden Rashada, so pump the brakes, okay? I'm just saying that his statement doesn't necessarily apply to this situation simply because he's not going to be the first player that's going to happen to, nor is he going to be the last.
Yeah, they're talking about the 13 million. They'll get into DJ, but here's one other comment about the contract.
And you had your analogy on the precast of shooting the text. We sent the $13 million contract. Whether he asked for it or not, we originally agreed on it. So there has to be some accountability there to Florida of whether the number is $13 million, $1.3 million, $130,000, whatever that number is, we agreed upon a number. That, in my thought, if I'm going to hold somebody accountable, look, that's on Florida. You put your hand in that basket and said, yeah, I'm willing to do that. And then something fell through, not quite sure what, and you decided to pull out of it. Now, they have every right to pull out of it, but you also have to handle the consequences. So sort of saying, who offered it? I mean,
and here they're going to talk about DJ Lagway and bringing him in a year early and what they think of that. Because like I said, that's what everybody's talking about in Florida.
Also sounds like Florida being selfish because recruiting cycle, and we dropped the ball on not being more active in the portal, but because we thought we had something that we didn't. So now we want to force a kid to rush his progress because of it. I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm not a huge fan of it. It sounds great. I love it. I would love it as a fan. But if I'm DJ Lagway's dad, and if I'm DJ Lagway, look, do I really need to make that much of a rush? Should I get I'll get to go redshirt. I'll get to go play underneath 3 quarterbacks at Florida, but you're not going to get any playing time. You're going to redshirt. Or do I go play for a high school that's pretty damn good, get actual reps in, and go work on these stats and work on my NIL evaluation? Now, there is one part to this. I don't think DJ Lagway is about the money. I really don't. However, it's still a business. I think he's a smart business kid, man, and he can't collect anything in Texas right now. So he could do what Quinn Ewers did at Texas and come hang out at Florida for his freshman year and sell some merch and create content and that way. But I don't think that's his end goal. So is there really that much of a benefit for him to leave that early? I don't think so.
All right, so there are some rational people down there that are thinking this through. I think that's a terrible idea. First of all, he'd give up his senior year where he's going to get a ton of experience. He's not ready physically. You know, the kid's, 16, 17 years old, and you're going to throw him into the SEC. And then he comes up and let's say he redshirts. What does that really do for you? Nothing. So it's just pure panic is all it is. And High Top Sports at least sees it for what it is. And he's calling them out for the contract. Say, look, if that's what you agreed to, there you go. So, I mean, there are people down there that are realistic about things and they're not just totally zany. But to sit there and talk about bringing in some junior from high school and think that's going to be your savior, that is a terrible idea. I wouldn't want the Vols to do that. I would not have wanted Nico to come in a year ago, if something had happened to Hendon and, maybe Joe didn't play well. Oh, well, let's just bring in this kid that's 16, 17 years old. That's a terrible idea. So anyway, they're just in pure panic mode. They're just throwing darts against the wall and hoping something sticks because they blew it with Rashada. You shouldn't have agreed to something that you couldn't pay. So anyway, I just thought I'd bring that to you. And, look, if they want to panic, I'm going to put it on YouTube. All right, folks, just wanted to cover a few things. The commitment by the BYU corner. And, of course, then the panic in Florida. You knew I was going to cover that. And then it sounds like our basketball players are going to be back for Saturday, or one, maybe two of them. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that button right over here on my left. That'll get you subscribed. It's free, and you won't have to hunt my videos. It's just way easier. And a lot of you watch my content, you don't hit that button. Just boom. That's all you got to do. And right over here, YouTube puts my most recent video, pretty popular. Check that out. I think you'll get a laugh out of it. Maybe some information. Anyway, I hope you did like the content. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.